I'm Jeremiah Boucher, a commercial real estate investor with over 20 years experience. This show is designed to help you build your business, become a better real estate investor, and help you see opportunities that will keep you ahead of the competition. This is Finding Your Edge. What's up, guys? Jeremiah here, Finding Your Edge podcast. We are talking today about the evolution of being an investor, being in business, of refining any craft and mastering it. It's real simple. I was listening to one of my mentors this week. His name's Matthew Ferry. He taught me real estate sales training 20 years ago and learned a lot about language and NLP and pacing and leading and cause and effect language and all these really interesting concepts that help me understand how to influence and learn how to communicate and articulate myself in a way that can help other people and help myself. So I went back to his conference and he talked about this principle of this evolution of where we grow as in any craft, as any entrepreneur or investor. And the first step in our growth is formulation. And this is where we are just starting. We have an idea. We want to figure out the who, the what, the when, the where, the how, the why, and we just start flirting with it. And it really gets exciting. So when I started in real estate, it was residential real estate, and I was excited about no money down deals. I could buy a house with owner financing or do a lease with the option to buy or find some distressed asset and get a really high levered loan on it. And I didn't even know what I didn't know. And I was just excited. So I went out there and failed a lot. But I was just delusionally optimistic, as Alex Ramosi says, through his pathways of being an entrepreneur. So I was just happy to be in the game. And I was so excited about starting out. And then I started to go to Commercial Academy, which is a commercial real estate conference. And I went to sales training conferences. And I went to the mobile home park boot camps and read all the courses. And started to refine, okay, this is where I want to go, right? Mobile home park investing, there's a niche. It's not flooded. I know that there's an opportunity in this asset class, and I like the fundamentals of it. And I remember the moment I chose to go into commercial, where I was a residential realtor. I was having a little bit of success, but the market was falling apart. I was losing all of these houses I invested in. I was sitting at this Starbucks. I was writing in my journal, and I'm like, this is it. I am not going back. I don't care what it takes. Like, I am cutting off all other options. This is the thing I want to do. I'm built for it. It's for me. It's my destiny. It was totally aligned with me, and I had no clue what I didn't know, but I made that decision and I stuck with it. And that is the first stage of formulation, is that idea comes together and you commit fully to it and you start your journey. Phase 2 is concentration. And this one is rough. Now, concentration is where you know what you want to do. You've talked to people about it. You've learned a little about it. You got the who, the what, the where, the when, the why, the how. And now you are in the game. And I talked about it in my book. This is in the second quarter of your game. And this game is where you get a lot of resistance, because you're going to put 1 unit of energy in and get no units out. And then you're going to put 10 units in and you might get a unit out. And you are just in this cycle of constant resistance and challenge. And I remember this phase in my life where I lost everything in 2007, 2008. And from 2008 to about 2 to 3 years, it was a slow, hard grind. And it was 20, 30,000 cold calls a year to get myself out of that position where I could go find other assets for my guys that were my partners. This is where I made all those cold calls to refer off these mobile home parks to the partners that I found and help them grow their business. And it was challenging because it's a lot of work with no effort. And I see this in a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of investors. This is that initial resistance that we receive. And this takes that dedication and that consistency. And we hear it all the time. And I have a new distinction around this. Back in the day, I would get angry and I would get motivated and I was just want to drive and push through everything. And I felt really, really intense. And it got me through that phase. And it was really challenging because it was just taxing on my emotions and on my physical body. And I'd be in pain all the time. And I don't know if I could have done it another way, but I see at this stage in my life, I'm working just as hard or even harder, actually. And I noticed that if I position it as a grind, right, rise and grind, David Goggins style, which I love David Goggins. If I embody that attitude, then it feels so heavy. And honestly, we live in a world where our networks create the value. I was learning this concept around the power of human networks and that we're tribal, right? We have these packs. And the reason we have a competitive advantage against other animals is we're able to collaborate together in large, large masses through communication. And we communicate more than just our words. We communicate through our body movement, our energy. We all sense each other in the pack, and we're moving together and unifying each other around these different tribes that align with us. And I was looking at Metcalfe's law, where it's the more number of users in a network, the more exponential the value of the network is. Just like when fax machine came out, where you had two fax machines, there was no value to the network. But when you had 10,000 fax machines, then a million fax machines, and then it was telephones and email. And all of these, as users get added on, there's more and more power in the network because there's more connections, there's more intelligence. And that's where humans' dreams come true, right? That's where our visions are created. It's where we interact with the network, we feed it, and it starts to know us a certain way. We have a relationship with the network. And as we're unskilled and we're starting out and we're in this concentration phase of trying to build up our skills, the network looks at us like we don't have a lot of value, and we don't. And we're not even involved in really high status or high value networks because we can't add a lot of value. So this is the challenge, is pushing ourselves to get through this process where no one believes in us. We're not communicating powerfully in the network. We don't have a lot to offer to the network, but we're navigating, we're learning, we're starting to see how it works. And then we with small wins along the way, where in real estate, for me, it was learning, this is how I go find a deal. And as I am able to communicate and earn the trust of people and learn about how to solve people's problems in real estate, now I have a little bit more value. Every time I do this, the network, one, wants me, it grows where people want to hear what I have to say. And two, they see that I'm adding value in the network by solving sellers' problems, by helping people fix their tax problems with structuring commercial real estate deals in a creative way and deferring their tax, or bringing bankers good deals, or bringing brokers good deals, or I close when brokers bring good deals to me. And then education is sharing ideas around structuring deals a certain way, or teaching people about partnerships or about tax law. And my network started to build because my relationship to the network added more value. And then now I was being a part of newer networks that had more wealth, more creativity, more intelligence, and it's been growing. But in the beginning, in the concentration phase, no one believes in you. It is a very slow process, and people aren't just going to invite you to the network, or you're not going to build that network because you don't really provide a lot of value to it. But don't get me wrong, we're all part of networks. The goal is to continue to elevate the network in order to be able to create more. And that's my goal, is as I continue to grow and evolve as an investor and as a business person, the way that I can communicate into the network will add more value, and I will attract more people that will help create bigger things. The more powerful I am and feed into the network with being full of integrity, accountable, having character, having intelligence, having resources, having connections, and seeing opportunities where others don't, that I will connect myself to other people that have similar skills and more skills than me, higher status, and that will continue to elevate the network and grow it. And that goes to the next stage. That is phase 3, is momentum. And this is where you are starting to get good at what you do. And it starts to become effortless. And you start to see opportunities and angles that other people can't see, because you got through the concentration phase of dealing with all the resistance. And now you have built the skills where you have that edge, right? You found your edge, that competitive advantage, the internal fortitude, and the effortless, the flow, where it's you're easily be able to show up with other people, help figure out and solve their problems, and be able to express yourself in powerful ways where you can share and navigate what you're going through and help see what other people are going through. And that's where the momentum starts to really speed up, and the network starts feeding you opportunity, and you start doing more deals or buying more investments or building your company at a rapid pace. And if the economy lines up with it, it's flying. And I remember this in 2021 and 2020, 2022. This is where we were doing 20, 30, 40 deals a year, and revenue rents were increasing 20% year over year. It was insane. And the biggest enemy or threat when you hit this phase of absolute momentum and getting the success is pride, right? We see this in athletes that make it to the top or get close to the top. They get some big wins, and then they have this pride that they don't have to do what they did before to maintain and achieve what they have. Or they delude themselves thinking that you don't need the hard work, or they have some magic fairy dust or magic sauce that allows them to bypass the continual work it takes to keep creating, to keep building, to keep successful, right? And that's where you get in trouble, because everything is falling apart. That is the universe we live in. There's entropy and everything. So things break down, and it takes conscious effort to maintain it and keep it alive. And when this threat of pride and this threat of being a victim of overwhelm, where, oh my God, I got so much going on. Oh, I never wanted to get into this. Oh, I don't have the resources. Oh my God, why is this happening to me? I can't keep up. I'm not free. I don't want all this responsibility. These things, these attitudes, the language, the communication that you speak to yourself and to the network, subconsciously and consciously, starts to then break down what you've built and starts to repel some of the things, the opportunities that are coming to you, or it causes you not to take actions in the way that are going to maintain and grow what you're building, your company or your deals or investments. And that's where the next phase comes into place, and that is stabilization. And this is where you either choose to build the systems, the processes, the people, the habits, the rituals, continue to learn and get the insights, where you're building the pieces around to stabilize this machine that you've built, this idea, this vision that is trying to fall apart. And you're seeing that you can consciously put the pieces in place to keep it alive and keep it growing and thriving. This is what I've seen the best companies, the best investors do. And this is where the CEO, the leader, the head, the guy at the helm, they're making strategic decisions, not only about how the company interacts or takes action or the strategy, but also like what resources need to be applied to what area of the company. And that's by putting in really good talent, having the right people around you. And again, this is feeding in your network, because not only now are you the founder or you're a lean, small startup team, you have a system, you have a team of execs or have a team of leaders, plus a lot of soldiers that believe in you and they follow you and they want to follow someone with a vision. And you build in these different roles, and these people are really clear about what their roles are. And you stabilize it to a point where even if someone leaves, that you have redundancy and that someone else can come in and actually fill that role. And I've gone through this. I've had a lot of conflict with different people in my company along the way, where in the first time I was growing and scaling my portfolio, I had 2 key employees that were head of operations running my portfolio of mobile home parks and assets in Nevada. And they left. One day they just said, that's it. Unless you pay me a large amount of money, I know you're selling these assets and I want a cut of it. And if you don't pay this, then I got to go. And I didn't have the funds. I had like $100,000 left in my bank account, and I was sitting on $10 million of equity, but I was so cash poor and real estate rich that I was living paycheck to paycheck with all of the expenses I had running to operate all these assets. And they really squeezed me at that moment, where in my eyes, it was extortion, where they're like, you do this or we're gone. And I didn't have the money at the time. Plus, it didn't feel it was right. I didn't feel that this was a part of the culture I wanted to create. So I had a choice. I could either feed into that because of my fear, where I said, Jer, you worked 10 years for this. You're almost to the finish line. You're a few months away. And these people, you need these people to help you get there, to get over the finish line and sell these assets. Yet you can't stand for this. And I could have been the victim and said, boo-hoo, you worked this hard and now look what these people are doing to you because you've got all this money waiting for you, but they're going to hold you back or they're threatening to leave. And I worked so hard to get here and I've already lost everything once. And that's victim. That's not the world's problem. That's my problem. And things happen the way they are. And if I take responsibility and accountability for how I grew the company, I wasn't paying attention to those positions. And I did not train those people. I did not vet the right people and hire the right people. And I got what I deserved. That is the culture I created because I wasn't consciously feeding it or communicating effectively or scorecarding the people in the way to hold them accountable. And they had their own goals and visions that they wanted to achieve, and they weren't aligned with mine. So that's where buckling down and saying, I'm going to stabilize this thing. And I found the right person to put in place. And I brought on another partner now that's with me. And I built the next evolution of the company. But I had to get out of that victim mentality, slow down on the growth, and learn how to stabilize what I have. And that helped me be a well-rounded business owner, not just a salesman, not just a deal maker, not just a real estate investor. It was a true CEO at the core of me. And I broke down the company in the different departments. And I said, I'm going to put the right people in place. And I broke it down and understood every system that I needed. I needed construction. I need finance. I need sales. I need HR. I need legal. I need operations. And I need maintenance. All of this. And I made sure that each person I found aligned with the culture, and I put them in a position where even if they leave, I can have someone that can pick up the pieces there. And this didn't happen overnight. This is where patience is critical. And I would lose one person and gain another person. And then I would gain two more people and lose one. And then I would gain three people and lose one. And I never got too dissatisfied or too stressed out about it. And I kept a really good key core amount of people, but I had to give up equity. I had to give them a piece of the pie so they were aligned with me, not only economically, but on the long-term vision of the company that they would sacrifice in the short term. That way we could keep going out and buying great investments and then actually serving our investors and hitting our quarterly reports and being able to manage the assets effectively, giving every single one of them the attention that they need to maximize value. And that process took at least 5 years, And we implemented the EOS system from the book Traction. If you haven't heard of it, it's an excellent book and it's a great system to run off of. But yet you still have to figure out your own system, and that's the stabilization period. And then the next period is breakthrough. This is where you finally have some stability, where you had your formulation phase to start, and then you had your concentration phase, and then you had momentum, and then you had stabilization, and now we hit a breakthrough where you stabilized what you had, and it's not falling apart because you have the systems or the people or the habits and the culture in place that keep it together. And now you have this breakthrough where you can see the landscape, step above it, right? Sit in the owner's box, start looking at other opportunities, start dreaming and having other visions about other aspects of the company you want to build, other initiatives, other insights that come to you. And that's the phase that I'm getting to right now. It's where I'm not there yet quite, but I'm starting to elevate myself there. And as I continue to put the pieces in place in stabilization, I will have then the opportunity in the breakthrough phase to be able to take on different things. I don't know, whatever I choose, but it's still in real estate, but just be able to see more of a global picture and be able to pursue other opportunities. And if you do that too early and you don't have the other pieces in place, and I've done this, where I've done retail projects and office projects and large industrial projects and all of these other types of businesses or real estate investments that you're not built for, then it creates so much entropy and it starts to break down a lot of your company because you don't have the pieces in place to keep it alive and keep it growing. So I think it's really important to understand these phases. One, to give you the idea of patience around this whole game and resistance. There's going to be obstacles and resistance, and we've heard it, but yet this is a natural evolution. If you're learning how to play the piano, you go through the same phases, right? If you're learning how to martial arts, or you're learning to be a great speaker, I can see how these phases I go through in these areas of my life, and there's no way to bypass it. You can't just jump to the top of the line and master something with a breakthrough. It just doesn't work that way. That's not how the world works, how the reality is. So it's knowing I'm going to encounter these things, and I deal with it in the way that it's not a grind. I don't need to deal actually with it. I need to embrace it. I don't need to do anything. I get to embrace it. I accept it. I let the flow, right? I speak in a way of creation. I don't describe everything being shit and it's a grind and I'm angry about the whole thing. I get to create, I get to learn. It's an experiment, and my brain's freaking out. I'm panicking. My body's freaking out. So what? Yeah, we all get afraid. We live in the safest time in history of man, right? People aren't beating each other, killing each other for their belongings, right? For their materials or their goods. Like, that's not how it works anymore. We are so safe. There's so much luxury. There's so much comfort. There's so much friggin' stimulus and entertainment. So right now, there's not a lot to be afraid of. It's just this chatter in our mind because we don't want to be ostracized from the herd. We don't want to be booted out, because that's the most painful thing that we could ever experience 2 million years ago as we were evolving, right? If we don't have connection to the network or everyone else, then we're alone and we're dead out there, right? The power of human beings are to be collective and to work together. So feeling grief and shame and embarrassment and needing to be too humble and feeling like a victim and being a traitor, not saying what you really feel, like all of these things played a big role in how we evolved in our tribe. As the different hierarchies of power evolved, like these roles actually helped keep people in order and keep the class system aligned. But right now, we don't have to worry about the king cutting off our head. So we don't have to play small. We don't have to be quiet. We don't have to be humble in the way of repressing ourselves. Like, just stand up and figure things out and put it out in the world. And if you fail, we learn again. And then you don't get your Land Rover, in the timeline that you wanted. Who cares? That's where I'm at. And and relationships fall apart, businesses fall apart, your body gets beat up, and that's part of life. And that's okay. Like, as long as we just take it one day at a time, weave through this, learn from our mistakes, don't panic, and just breathe through the process. It's all okay. Like, that's what I learned. All this anxiety, I don't have to react to it. Yeah, there's more pressure, but pressure is a privilege, and it's actually fun. It's fun to play the game at a higher level, and then we get to become who we want to be. The only way we can truly grow and be who we are is if we keep testing ourselves every day, and that's what I keep doing. So in the realm of investments, in the realm of building a company, in my personal relationships, and the relationship with myself and with my health, is just experimenting and trying things. That didn't work. This did work. I'm not a failure. I'm not all alone in the world. I'm not gonna die. And I feel that way. Don't worry. I get freaked out, but I know that there's a lot more power inside, and this is actually, the stakes aren't even that high. Like, everything's gonna be fine. And I keep progressing and learning and growing and improving. And now, we're getting back into momentum and finding great deals and finding great opportunities. And I got great people with me, and I'm learning how to be in a great relationship. And it's beautiful, but it's discomfort, right? But I don't have to worry about it being always a grind. Yeah, there's discomfort, but I don't have to run away from it. And it can be enjoyable, even if it doesn't feel that way in the moment. So that's my rant. The 5 steps or evolutions to an entrepreneur or to growing an investment company or business. Hope you got something out of that. I love sharing all my ideas. Please list any comments down below. I don't need to tell you to subscribe. You're already here. You're watching it. And even if only 30 people watch this, if I connected with you and it meant something, that's what I really, really am here to do. That's why I'm doing this on a Saturday, and I really appreciate your time and energy and listening and engaging. And if you're going after it and you're going through this process, man, I know how you feel. And I'm excited for you that you're growing and evolving in your process, because it's a true gift to go through this. So thanks again. I'll see you next time. For more information on commercial real estate investing, go to patriotholdings.com. Thanks for listening to Finding Your Edge.